Hey guys, we have a real whopper of a topic today. So get comfortable, grab a snack, hydration, and settle in. There are many very obvious problems with religion. The first and foremost is the fact that it's 100% man made. Every religion begins with a story written by a human. Then that story has been rewritten and edited over time to suit whomever was in control. I'm going to focus mainly on Western religion, as most people already realize what's wrong with the Middle Eastern culture and beliefs. If a primitive human, hundreds of years ago, could write a story and create a god in their mind's eye, and have such a diverse effect on populations throughout history, you can too. We all have the power to do so. Look at the cult following of books like Harry Potter. If that shit was real, how many people right now would just drop their entire life and show up outside of Hogwarts with a stick and a bathrobe? If J.K. Rowling created a Church of Harry Potter and a religion surrounding the idea of it, even though the series is fiction, how many of you would still join? I don't know if Harry Potter is even as popular anymore as when I was younger. So maybe I sound like a grandpa, but imagine it when Harry Potter was at the peak of his popularity. I guess this is kind of also the problem with humans video. The reason that these sorts of things can create such a following is because humans, like sheep, feel the need to belong to something, to fit in, have a common interest among peers to tie them into the social fabric. For as long as there have been humans, there have been leaders and followers. I have no idea what it's like to be a follower, or why they choose to follow so blindly, but I do know what it's like to be a leader. Now, don't get me wrong here. Before we get any more into this, I do want to let you guys know that I do believe in the universe, in the energy that connects us and surrounds us, the law of attraction, karma, the power of positive thought and action. I'm probably one of the most spiritual people I know that doesn't have any religious association. I just really don't see how religion serves any purpose other than being a gathering of people that can jerk off each other's egos, show off their clothes, their cars, their kids. Oh, well, there is the one purpose: being able to commit carnal sin like adultery, rape, and pedophilia and be forgiven. But God forbid I have lust and get down with my panda self. God forbid I feel proud of achievement, angry when I've been wronged, ambitious and motivated to do better, wanting seconds at dinner time, feeling like doing nothing all weekend after a long, hard week. Do you notice anything weird about these 7 deadly sins? They're all basic human instincts. Why would some guy want you to believe that primal instincts are sins, other than to keep you coming back, dropping money into the donation box, which is a tax-free income in most countries, by the way, and all churches can write off all other income, being that they are a religious organization? That seems weird, doesn't it? If we were all created equal and meant to love thy neighbors, why the fuck are so many kids starving, yet they have these giant palaces they call churches and temples and whatever? Is that not pride to have an elaborate church and to wear those crosses? Is it not wrath when you're wasting your time interrupting people's personal lives with your outdated beliefs? Is it not gluttony when you go to Sunday breakfast or lunch or whatever, those gatherings at churches with food? And I mean, look at the Last Supper. But gluttony is a sin, right? Is it not a form of lust? When you've suppressed someone from sexual contact in general, or just from any other reason than reproducing, and they start molesting kids or cheating on their partners? Is it not sloth when you encourage humans to sit in a room full of people listening to some guy ramble on about godly nonsense for a couple hours every single Sunday? How much time is wasted getting ready for, going to, and sitting through, and then returning from church? And that's the minimum. There are people that go every day. Their school was religious. They go to youth programs. They will literally milk your time for all it's worth. For as long as you want to be there and be a part of it, they'll allow it. Is it not greed to accept money from hard-working people who have to pay taxes, and you waste it on golden holy water bird baths for priests to stick their dicks in after they sodomize little boys in the rectory? Why do you think it's called a fucking rectory? It'd be pretty dangerous if people actually started thinking for themselves, being accountable for their actions, practicing sex, drugs, and rock and roll in moderation, as to not lead to carnal sin. Now when I say carnal sin, I'll explain it, since most churches don't really talk about carnal sin. Carnal sin is by definition pertaining to or characterized by the flesh or the body, its passions and appetites, sensual, carnal pleasures. Not spiritual, merely human, temporal, worldly, and a man of secular rather than carnal leanings. Which means killing people, raping people, torture, anything that brings harm to a person spiritually, emotionally, or physically, without due cause. Religion alone is a carnal sin, and the simple fact that there is so many human limitations to the experience you're supposed to have, we should all be free to be ourselves. Whether it be an alternative gender, orientation, race, whatever. The church creates these cookie-cutter people who are not happy, and are relying on the happiness they will hopefully find in heaven. What about the kids who go home to chaos, physical and sexual abuse, who think, nope, God and Jesus must not love me. No one in the entire universe gives a fuck. After I was led to believe that one day God might stop Uncle Diddles from calling me down to the basement, and it will have all been a horrible nightmare. Nope. What if there is no heaven? What if there is nothing after you die? Or what if we are reincarnated? What if the light at the end of the tunnel you see is you being born again, and the tunnel is a mother's vagina? Some people will argue, oh, well, I've had a near-death experience, and I saw my grandpa, and I saw Jesus. Well, I hate to break it to you guys, but a similar thing happens when you pass out, faint, have seizures, you blank out, and your body shuts down. Your life flashes before your eyes. If you're really religious, you've seen a lot of Jesuses. And if you have the image of your grandmother in your memory bank, you'll potentially see that, especially if in your subconscious you've been trained to believe certain things regarding death, so it will manifest in your mind. I have a condition where I black out and collapse, sometimes having with it a seizure. Every time my life flashes before my eyes. I've seen all kinds of things. Dead relatives, Jesuses, Satans, Santa Claus, Donald Trump. All kinds of things, in no specific order of importance, and depending on my age and where I've been in my life. What if at some point you do ascend, and you have completed the human experience, and there is something much greater out there than what the human minds can even begin to comprehend? What if we get to live 1,000 lifetimes? Each one is a new person, and getting to experience everything for the first time again. The wonders of childhood, falling in love, making love, and having children. Finding that soulmate. Why do humans need to take comfort in there being something after? Why not make the best of here and the now? Create your own personal heaven on earth, fitted to your liking. Why do so many people insist on their children having the same religion as them? What would be so wrong about allowing them to grow into adults and allowing them to choose what they want to believe? You can be saved at any time, can't you? Even on your deathbed after raping thousands of children under the guise of priestdom. So why the rush to recruit them to your cookie-cutter cult? If you look at the structure of religion, churches, and their beliefs, from a business standpoint, it's outrageously genius. Making people believe that they're sinners no matter what, having them pay to be saved, don't let them have sex if not for procreation and new recruits, convince them to take a day out of their only 2 days off a week to allow you to brainwash them even further, or even more for the extremists. Then, behind the scenes, the priests are living like kings, not paying taxes, not contributing anything productive to society, and if they feel so inclined, raping your fucking children. What a bargain. And better yet, they've sold the concept to fucking billions of people. Billions. That, and they get a special ticket to heaven as long as you're a member of the church. Sounds kind of like a Costco membership, doesn't it? This ticket to heaven bullshit is the same as the 72 virgins nonsense. There is no tangible evidence or proof. There are many wonderful things on earth, though, for you to experience and enjoy, that the church will just not allow. Like threesomes and cocaine on a Wednesday. I'm kidding. But seriously, there is a religion that exists, that I don't necessarily affiliate with, but I have borrowed parts of as my own belief. I have adopted parts of many religions when creating my own belief system, including Buddhism, Baha'i, Zen, Taoism, on top of modern religion. But this one particular religion is seriously frowned upon. Let's see if you can guess it. It states things like, do not give opinions or advice unless you're asked. Do not tell your troubles to others unless you're sure they want to hear them. When in another's home, show him respect, or else do not go there. If a guest in your home annoys or disrespects you, treat him cruelly and without mercy by casting them out. As in, don't let people trample on you in your own home. Have some fucking integrity. Do not make sexual advances unless you are given the appropriate signals. Do not engage in any sexual acts unless all parties are conscious, consenting adults. Do not take that which does not belong to you unless it is a burden to the other person and he or she insists on being relieved. Acknowledge and have gratitude for earth magic if you have employed it successfully to obtain your desires. If you deny the power of magic after having called upon it with success, you will lose all that you've obtained. This is basically talking about law of attraction, karma, positive energy. Do not complain about anything to which you need not subject yourself, as in pick your battles. Do not bring harm to children, emotionally, physically, or sexually. Do not kill or bring harm to non-human creatures unless you are attacked or for your food. When walking in open territory, bother no one. If somebody bothers you, ask them to stop. If they don't stop, destroy them. Sounds a little barbaric, but the modern translation in reality is basically defend yourself. Destroy them by words, or if they bring harm to you, practice self-preservation and defense. Always stand up for yourself, by spoken word or action. Here is what they consider sins. Stupidity, the very top of the list. The cardinal sin. It's too bad that stupidity isn't painful. Ignorance is one thing, but our society thrives increasingly on stupidity. It depends on people going along with whatever they're told. The media promotes a cultivated stupidity as a posture that is not only acceptable, but laudable. You must learn to see through the tricks and cannot afford to be stupid. Pretentiousness. Empty posturing can be most irritating and isn't applying the cardinal rules of karma. On equal footing with stupidity for what keeps the money in circulation these days. Everyone's made to feel like a big shot, whether they can come up with the goods or not. Solipsism, which can be very dangerous. Projecting your reactions, responses, and sensibilities onto somebody else who is probably far less attuned than you are. It is the mistake of expecting people to give you the same consideration, courtesy, and respect that you naturally give them. They won't. Instead, you must strive to apply the dictum of do unto others as they do unto you. It's work for most of us and requires constant vigilance, lest you slip into a comfortable illusion of everyone being like you. As has been said, certain utopias would be ideal in a nation of philosophers, but unfortunately, or perhaps fortunately, from a Machiavellian standpoint, we are far from that. Self-deceit. Another of the cardinal sins. We must not pay homage to any of the sacred cows presented to us, including the roles we are expected to play ourselves. The only time self-deceit should be entered into is when it's fun, and with awareness, but then it's not self-deceit. Herd conformity. It's alright to conform to a person's wishes, if it ultimately benefits you both. But only fools follow along with the herd, letting an impersonal entity dictate you. The key is to choose a master wisely, instead of being enslaved by the whims of the many. Lack of perspective. Again, this one can lead to a lot of pain. You must never lose sight of who and what you are, and what a force to be reckoned with each and every individual has the ability to be. We are making history right now, every day. Always keep the wider historical and social picture in mind. That is the most important key to both karma and the law of attraction. See the patterns and fit things together as you want the pieces to fall into place. Do not be swayed by herd constraints. Know that as a leader, you are working on another level entirely from the rest of the world. Forgetfulness of past orthodoxies. Be aware that this is one of the keys to brainwashing people into accepting something new and different, when in reality, it was something that was once widely accepted, but is now presented in a new package. We are expected to rave about the genius of the creator and forget the original. This makes for a disposable society. Counterproductive pride. The first word is important. Pride is great up to the point you begin to throw out the baby with the bathwater. The rule is, if it works for you, great. When it stops working for you, when you've painted yourself into a corner and the only way it is to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I wish we could compromise somehow, then do it. Lack of aesthetics. This is the physical application of the balance factor. Aesthetics is important and should be cultivated. It is obvious that no one can collect any money off classical standards of beauty, and most of the time so they are discouraged in a consumer society. But an eye for beauty, for balance, is an essential tool and must be applied for greatest effectiveness. It's not what's supposed to be pleasing, it's what is. Aesthetics is a personal thing, reflective of one's own nature, but there are universally pleasing and harmonious configurations that should not be denied. They're basically talking about finding the balance in inner beauty and outer beauty, being and being with someone that is beautiful and perfect to you, in spite of what the media and society will lead you to believe is perfect and beautiful. Other statements, or commandments I guess, are represent indulgence instead of abstinence, represent vital existence instead of spiritual pipe dreams, represent undefiled wisdom instead of hypocritical self-deceit, represent kindness to those who deserve it instead of love wasted on ingrates, represent vengeance instead of turning the other cheek, represent responsibility to the accountable instead of concern for the psychic vampires, represent man as just another animal, sometimes better, more often worse, than those that walk on all fours, who because of his divine spiritual and intellectual development has become the most vicious animal of all. Represent all of the so-called sins, as they all lead to physical, mental, and emotional gratification. Well, does anybody know what religion this is yet? The obvious guess would be excerpts from the Quran because of the times, but I assure you it is absolutely not. Type what you guys think it is in the comment section now. I'm very curious to see if people can recognize any of this. It's Satanism. Yeah, you know, the fiery red guy. Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had. He's helped keep it in business all of these years. Ironic, isn't it? I choose not to affiliate with any religion, as I have my own. But if I had to, this one would be in the lead. For the simple fact that one of the big things they push is self-thought. There's no church, nothing. There's the rules, and then you're on your own. You fuck up really bad, and you face the real-life consequences. The end. There's no forgiveness. Like all these super religious small towns that will allow a child molester to go free if they're a prominent member of and have forgiveness from their church. Look at the Duggars. You know, 42 kids and counting. Oh, well, he didn't have to go to jail for molesting his sisters because God forgives him and the sheriff acknowledges that. Yeah, alright, you fucking cult rabbity whack jobs. Anyways, I do want to clear up some of the taboos and falsified beliefs created by the church regarding the idea of Satan and how it all began. They were once accepted in competitive religions. There was once the three main ones, hundreds of years ago, but now the main two are Christians and Catholics. Satan originated in Roman religion and myth. Pan's counterpart was Faunus, a nature god who was the father of Bonadea, sometimes identified as Fauna. Flora and fauna means plants and animals. He was also closely associated with Sylvanus, due to their similar relationships with woodlands. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Pan became a significant figure in the Romantic movement of Western Europe and also in the 20th century neo-pagan movement. An area in the Golan Heights, known as the Panion, or Panium, is associated with Pan. Caesarea Philippi, the site of the Battle of Panium and the Banius Natural Spring Grotto, and related shrines dedicated to Pan, may be found there. Pan's goatish image is quite similar, however a conventional version of faun-like depictions of Satan. Although Christian use of Plutarch's story is of long standing, it is argued that this specific association is modern and derives from Pan's popularity in Victorian and Edwardian neo-paganism. Medieval and early modern images of Satan tend, by contrast, to show generic semi-human monsters with horns, wings, and clawed feet. So paganism, the third thing. Satanism is sort of the love child of paganism and other religions, just less flowery and magical. They are quite similar, though. They've both been greatly inspired by each other as they've evolved throughout the eras. So how could the church turn people off of such a free and spiritual belief system? They create this idea of heaven and hell, and a big scary monster out of the alternative deity Pan. In ancient times, they would sacrifice virgins during certain rituals and drink their blood, but it is very much frowned upon today, and if any blood indulgence is partaken, it is only that of a goat. Some still do it, but it is by no means a requirement for ceremony or ritual. Ceremonies also include things like naked women and phallic trinkets, because men and women are the alpha and the omega, so to speak, and very uncommon overall as of the 19th century. Most Satanists don't need the validation of ceremonies to have a good karmic balance, but I know people will bring it up. Same as rape used to be acceptable by the Bible and is now not. Well, except I think Satanists practice this prehistoric ritual far less than Catholics and Christians commit rape in this day and age. But as is with any religion that was created or practiced during a barbaric era of history, witch hunting, virgin sacrificing, forced into a cuckold between your wife and the king, genital mutilation, all these things that were once widely accepted by many cultures that aren't, or are in the process of being not, part of their religion or culture today. You don't think Satanism has had an update or two within the 18th and 20th century? When was the last time that the Bible was updated? The LaVeyan Satanist Bible was updated in the late 60s, and even that's ancient history compared to how quickly we are advancing with today's technology and knowledge. Some people who do choose to affiliate as a Satanist, the people who will accept the belief system but still have that need to belong and follow, have somebody to guide them, these people still have meetups and perform rituals. Although there is no satanic churches, just the one headquarters, and it is not required, some people crave the group ceremonies and ritual, and so Satanism acknowledges and allows for practice of that. The difference is, although they may still have the virgin, the phallic tributes, and in some rare but extreme cases, one's personal twisted choice, they have the goat's blood. No virgins are harmed though, if you can even find one that's over 18. They're just placed on the platform, usually nude, and for lack of a better term, are prayed and chanted to. So why is this evil idea of Satan or the devil so prominent in modern religion, among many cultures, when it had originated as a nature-loving nymph? Where do you think witch hunting started? Because of the Wiccans and the pagans. So why was the religion of Satanism created? Sort of to replace the original worship of Pan before it was split up and the radical idea of magic and all this was added. Many religions evolve and change over time. I mean, there's like 100 different versions of Catholic and Christians now, aren't there? Everyone changing religions to suit their personal needs. Got the balls to color outside the lines, but still have that security blanket and jack-off session of the religion. So many modern religious people that do not stick to any of the rules. So, if you've already made up your own religion, why would you share the label with a religion that supports and facilitates the rape and ruin of children? The Romans invented religion to control their population and extract more money out of them, while allowing their friends to have reasonable cause to live tax-free and have power. The idea of Satan was created to put the fear of one most powerful god into people, because simply worshipping many gods and deities was nothing you could profit from. I mean, hey, if you thought the penis symbols and rituals was weird, look at every Greek and Roman statue ever made. It was just the way things were back then. And a big part of what Pan represented, what paganism and Satanism worship, is fertility. In Satanism, fertile women are thought very highly of, contrary to many outdated and even modern religions today. Most cultures and religions have actively made efforts to oppress women and divide and limit them from all of the benefits of humankind. Has nobody else found it funny that greed is supposedly this deadly sin, but that the church is literally born and built on it? I mean, just the franchise alone. Forget that they collect money as donations and don't pay any taxes. Look at the Christian bands, the merch, the jewelry, the crosses, pictures of Jesus, Bibles. All of those products sold adds up really fast, even with a very low profit margin, when you don't have to pay any taxes. Plus, you can have the kids put it together and sell most of the products. Child labor at its most inconspicuous. If the Bible is right about anything, is that God is mysterious and that the devil will try to trick you, and that a false prophet or Messiah will appear to you, and to beware because it will be the devil and they will blind you from the right path. So if that's true, doesn't that make the religion you've put your life into the work of the devil? Wouldn't your God want to protect children and animals, not condone rape and violence throughout the ages? You've been driven by a false promise of heaven and the fear of hell. Are you not tasting, smelling, feeling, touching the idea of heaven when you draw your first breath, have an orgasm, have a child? So many things that the beauty of is ignored. These modern faiths have you so focused on what you can do to have true peace and happiness after, that we neglect to stop and realize that we can have it right here, in life, on earth, that we can learn to appreciate what we already have, and not feel ashamed because Sally's family from church drives a Mercedes and you drive a Buick. A Buick's a fine car, by the way, it's just an example. The one thing that Satanism stresses the most, and that stood out to me, is the parts that say, by worshipping a fabricated god, you are by proxy worshipping the man who created it. We are all equal. We all have the equal abilities to remain positive and in balance with the universe and have good karma, where you are thereby rewarded. You're encouraged to create your own system of beliefs, your own values, morals, and as long as you don't hurt any children or animals, you're accepted by Satanists. Man, woman, black, white, gay, straight, anything. It doesn't matter. And you don't have to report back once a week and by nature compare one's worth against another. During satanic meetings, everybody does wear robes, which has been viewed as daunting and creepy. But when in actuality, it's just to keep the focus on the spirituality, not on how hot Doug's wife is, or the new diamond necklace Barbara got. It separates and equalizes everyone from the material world, where their only value can be placed on their personal morals, values, and knowledge. I know this all sounds like I'm really just trying to sell the idea of Satanism. I'm really not. I just want to expose the obvious and not so obvious problems with modern religion, and how obscenely hypocritical they are. You should be more aware of your worthiness by being at the top of the food chain and be free to be whatever and whoever you want to be without punishment or fear of God as many are forced to believe it as. As long as you're not impeding on anyone else's spiritual or physical human experience, you're worthy of worshiping yourself as a god and holding yourself accountable for your actions with the real world knowledge and consequence. Well, that was quite the spiel. So if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate those of you that have started watching and liking all my videos as soon as they come out. Even the ones competing for the first comments. Every bit counts and shows your support. I'm very curious to know what you guys think about all of this, as I know there's going to be a lot of hate, but a handful of you will take something from this, I hope, and form your own spine. If you have already sort of had these kinds of beliefs and just never knew it had a name, feel free to comment as well and let me know if you have any variations of these beliefs. We live in a time where we have the most freedom for expression and opinion. We can all grow and learn from each other, academically and spiritually. Your religion is the fastest growing religion on the planet. Let's keep it growing and be the unique individuals we were born to be.